Thank you so much for tuning in to Mom Jeans, trying to fit into motherhood. Welcome back to another episode of Mom Jeans, the podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Danielle. I'm a boy mom, stay-at-home mom, and I'm pregnant with our second boy. So about to be a boy mom of 2.
Nice. And I am Lisa, a girl mom to 2 girls.
Nice. All right. So today we are talking about some pregnancy myths. I asked ChatGPT some of the most common, and what kind of brought this about was the other day I was hanging a hammock outside. I have just a little portable one that was in my camper, and it was nice out, and I was hanging it in my tree, and my arms were above my head. And my mom came out and said, "Don't hold your arms above your head for too long because that's dangerous." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Well, my doctor told me that you shouldn't put your arms above your head when you're pregnant because it can cause the umbilical cord to wrap around the baby's neck." And I was like, that is a myth if I've ever heard one. I was like, that sounds so fake. And she's like, that's what my doctor said when she was pregnant with my brother, who is 41, 2, something like that. So,
I have a lot of questions for my mom then because I had the umbilical cord around my neck. So maybe that's what she was doing. She just was walking around with her arms up.
And my brother was born that way too, with the umbilical cord around his neck. And so the doctor was like, oh, because I guess she said she was painting or doing something. And so she was doing something strenuous with her hands above her head. So she literally believed that her whole life
boy.
until I sent her a couple articles of like pregnancy myth. And so she read that and she's like, well, that's what my doctor said. I'm like, man, like medical, I feel like has come a long way. I mean, that's so funny. But yeah, definitely a myth. And I was literally lifting weights above my head a couple days ago. I think I'll be okay wrapping this rope around the tree to hang my hammock up so I can lay in it.
I love it.
Yeah. So I just thought it was funny of what like people believe. And some of the myths. So we're going to go over some of the most common ones according to ChatGPT. So number 1 was you can tell a baby's sex by how you're carrying. Have you heard of that one? It says the myth
I have
carrying
heard that one. Carrying high or low.
Yeah, so high is a girl and carrying low means boy. So I've heard that one too. It actually says truth. The baby's position is more to do with muscle tone, body type, and the baby's position, not the sex of the baby. So, but I always heard that boy is carrying low. But I feel like Weston was right up in my ribs last time. So I don't know.
My mom was really big on that because we didn't know what we were having for either of the girls, and she was like, "Oh, this one looks so different." My second pregnancy, you look so different carrying than you did the last time. I'm sure it's different. I was like, "Okay, Mom, I see no difference." I took side by side pictures, and they're the exact same.
Right. I feel like the only difference, probably like why people see a difference, is because when you're second baby, or maybe your abs haven't went back to normal, or like, because I definitely feel like I'm showing a lot more, like I feel a lot bigger than I did around this time.
Oh man, I have not recovered well from my second pregnancy, and I do think that has a little bit to do with age. And I actually felt like I bounced back. My body bounced back really well after my first. And like I looked, pretty much the same as I did before I had her. And now I have that super saggy stomach. Like I keep getting Instagram added of like all of those, like how to get rid of your saggy post-pregnancy tummy kind of thing. So yeah, I would totally agree that is an age and condition kind of thing.
For sure. Yeah. I think that's why I'm worried about the second one. I do follow this person called Deliciously Fit. I think that's her Instagram handle. I have to check. But she has had like, I feel like 5 or 6 girls. I forget how many girls. They're all girls, but she does the exercises where they work on your forget that transversal breathing type thing. And she has a workout program too. I followed along with that, and I also followed this person called Meg Squats. She has a prenatal, postnatal, because I like to lift weights app. And then she talks about the same stuff about the breathing. Way better when I was with Weston. I've done her workouts, but I've not done the breathing like I did with Weston. So I'm just a different pregnancy. I'm in a different stage of life. So it's just trying to keep up.
Interesting to to what you just said, because like I wonder, because Aubrey and a lot of people I know that have second kids or more, like the more kids you have, like maybe the slower it takes them to hit certain timelines. And I do think it's because like when you were, pregnant with Weston and you didn't have any other kids, like you had time, right? Like you had time to do the breathing. And like same thing with Aubrey. Like when Hannah was, a baby, I would do all the things they said to do. Make sure you do tummy time 20 minutes a day or whatever it was, make sure you do this with them. Make sure you show them black and white cards. And I did all of that like religiously with her. And with Aubrey, it's like, who's got time for that? So I don't do all of that stuff with her. And I do think that is probably a reason for her being a little bit behind on that stuff, which is totally fine. She's totally healthy and fine. It's not a big deal, but that is a good point with your body, like I do think I did a lot. It was a lot easier too, to like put Hannah into the carrier and go out into the woods and take walks. Whereas now it's like 2 kids. There's just no way I'm getting out into the woods without the dog going one way, one kid going the other, and another kid going the other. So I just don't do it. And I just haven't been able to take care of myself the way I want to do it. So I think same thing with recovery after pregnancy on that.
Yeah, I feel that. All right. Well, back to our list. Number 2, it says heartburn means the baby has a lot of hair. The myth is the more heartburn, the hairier the baby. I will say I did have a lot of heartburn, and my son had a mohawk when he came out. My mom said she had a lot of heartburn with my sister. My sister was born on Halloween. Ariana, sorry that I'm going to tell everyone this, but she had hair on her ears, on her head, obviously, but down her back. So we joke that she was a werewolf when she was born. She was a very hairy baby. But the truth says, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Nope, go ahead.
It says there's some research that suggests slight correlation, but it's not a reliable predictor.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because I had horrible heartburn in my first pregnancy, like horrible heartburn. And I also would get this really metallic taste in my mouth that so gross, and I couldn't get rid of it. And the more I got it, the more I started to kind of see correlations that I had an addiction to chocolate chips. And I started to realize that was what was causing it. So I didn't realize that until my second pregnancy, when I started to get that too. And I was like, oh man. And I stopped having that. And my heartburn was so much better in my second pregnancy than my first. And they both came out with the same amount of hair. There wasn't a difference between one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure it is something that you eat, because we had burritos earlier and I like spicy, and I hot sauced it up. And then right now I'm feeling the heartburn. So it's more like what I'm eating that's causing it. Though I can eat that stuff and be totally fine when I'm not pregnant. It doesn't bug me, but.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. So the other day, I had my period and I was super craving cookie dough. And you know how you can get those cookie dough bites from Ben and Jerry's from the store? Well, I couldn't find them because I went to Whole Foods and of course they didn't have them. And so I was all right, I'm going to make my own. So I came home and I was I have not baked with refined sugar. I couldn't even tell you the last time I've done it. It's been years. I always use maple syrup or honey instead. And I loved this cookie dough. It was so good, but there was a ton of brown sugar in it and my heartburn was so bad. And I was that's a real bummer, because I would love to eat this whole thing, but maybe it's a good thing that I get the heartburn so I don't eat the whole thing,
Right. Yeah.
But it is kind of sad. I'd be interested to see after Hannah, my heartburn completely went away. Like I could eat anything I wanted and I wouldn't get it. And then when I got pregnant with Aubrey, the heartburn came back. And then since I've had her, my heartburn is stuck around if I
Oh,
have the wrong
no.
foods. Only if I have
Yeah.
the wrong foods. It's kind of like almost like a nice dietary check, like, hey,
Yeah.
maybe lay
Yeah.
back on those candy bars.
Right. Yeah. That's really good though. At least I'm like, oh yeah, I can't eat that. But I feel like I'm eating a lot more sweets this pregnancy. I feel like my eating is out of control. I was texting Michaela and I'm just like, my eating has been out of control. I'm not being active. Like I make it to the gym maybe twice a week, if that. So she gave me her login for her exercise platform
Nice.
that she used. They have a prenatal. I'm like, I just couldn't. They're short. I don't know if you've ever done that arm workout with her.
Oh yeah.
You did at
Oh,
her
have
wedding,
I?
or
Yeah.
let's do an arm
Every
workout
time
with
I'm drunk with Michaela, I ask her if we can do the arm dance.
her. I just like, can you just play the song? I don't want to
It's a
move my
great
arms around like
song.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I won't name the platform since I'm using her login.
I
But
know
they
I've
do have
used
a
it
good
too.
they have a good prenatal one. So, and they're short and they're quick. And I was like, I just need something like if I don't get to the gym, at least to move my body.
Right.
So that brings us to the third one. You can't exercise while pregnant. So that was a good segue. The myth is exercise is dangerous for the baby. My mom said this to me my first pregnancy. I worked out through the entire time through my first pregnancy, a lot more than I do now, and a lot harder than I did do right at this moment because I'm definitely kind of out of shape. But yeah, she was like, my doctor said, or like, that you shouldn't do it. And again, this was like 40 years ago. You shouldn't exercise. It
I
says the truth. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry. No,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, the truth is most pregnant people can and should exercise moderately unless told otherwise by a doctor. So always check with your healthcare provider. Don't listen to us. We're not doctors, but it can actually help with labor and recovery.
Agreed.
Yeah. And they usually
My
say like do the same level, like you can continue the same level and then obviously modify as you get further along. But like if you're not a marathon runner or you don't run, like maybe don't start like today, like while you're pregnant, so just always consult a doctor.
I
What
worked
were you
out so much in Hannah's pregnancy, and it was interesting because I remember being worried about it, but I mean, I was worried about everything I did in Hannah's pregnancy. I was so afraid of losing her for some reason because I'd been around people who had lost babies, and it just
Mm-hmm.
freaked me out. And I do think and we'd have to ask Leah, but in IVF, they don't want you working out certain, so I think it depends on the pregnancy and your
Yeah.
past for sure. But yeah, like I would talk to my doctor and she's like, yeah, no, do it, go. And so I rode the indoor bike a lot and pushed myself hard, like high heart rates. And then I, like, once that got harder to do, I would hike, like probably almost 4 to 5 miles a day. I would hike, and at the end of my pregnancy I ripped ligament,
Mm-hmm.
which was really painful and not enjoyable at all. But I think, obviously it was a lot of weight on your body to be walking that much and that vigorously. So it was like, I
Yeah.
was refusing to slow down at the end. And that was a me problem than anything. And then, like I said, it was harder to do when I was pregnant with Aubrey because I was super pregnant and had Hannah to try and schlep around. And so I wish I could have worked out more in Aubrey's, for sure, in Aubrey's
Yeah.
pregnancy. Yeah, I wish I
And
would have
then
done
yeah,
that.
that's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling now. But yeah, so when I was pregnant with Weston, I'm a PE and health teacher, or was. I'm still am, but I'm not currently doing that. But
Yeah.
I remember we were doing like a HIIT workout, and I was leading it. Like I was doing it with the girls. It was like an all-girl class, and then this one girl was slacking off, and one girl stopped, and she's like, "If Miss Chalet can do it, and I was like in my third trimester, and I'm like, she's super pregnant. You can do it too. Like, stop making excuses." And I was just like, I wasn't gonna say anything, but like I never want to discourage anyone, but I mean, you might slap a heart rate monitor on that person, and they're actually really trying hard, even though
Yeah.
their heart might look different than someone else's like intense level of exercise. But I do feel like they were just kind of giving up. But it was just funny. and then I was like showing them how to do cleans. They're like, you with the belly. I really probably shouldn't have, but and it wasn't even, it was the bar and like 20 pounds on the bar. So, but just teach them proper technique. But my thought was like, I want to like show these girls that you can work out when you're like super pregnant and like stay
That's
healthy, like
great.
no matter what stage of life. Now I wish I could be that person just a couple years ago, because right now I'm like, I've been hard on myself. I'm like, oh, you didn't even like go for a walk today. So I've been really hard on myself. But I will say when I do exercise, I always feel better mentally.
Yeah.
Physically I'm pretty tired, but like mentally I feel a lot better, more patient, and just like doing something for myself. So
It's really, that's a great point too. I think it's really interesting. Like, you know, we, Brandon and I have talked about how my parents never worked out, like ever. And I never worked out because, well, to be fair, I played a lot of sports growing up. So like that was my workout. But then when it
mhm.
came to like sports went away, I was like, I don't even know how to work out. I've never done this. I've never worked out. And I think it's really nice for your kids to see you work out and have that as a priority for their mental health and their mental beings.
Right.
And I think it's really awesome to start that when you're pregnant, and you know, for Weston to see you pregnant and be, I mean, obviously he's young, but you know,
Yeah.
eventually be able to say like, hey, I worked out even when I was pregnant with you guys, and that was a big priority of mine, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. And a good way to frame it is like I get to work out, not that I have to work out, because
Yeah. Great
I will
idea.
say my 20s, and we talked about this in an earlier like podcast, like way back. But I just had like a poor self-image, like an eating kind of like an eating disorder, and like worked out excessively, but it was like because I felt like I needed to look a certain way. When I changed my mindset about like how it makes me feel mentally, so I really did it for my mental state of mind. And then all those other perks kind of like slowly, not right away, but eventually like come with it. Like, you know, muscles, like your muscles are getting more toned, or, you know, maybe you're fitting your clothes differently. Like those are just kind of like side effects that happen if you keep it up. But it's more like I just wanted to feel better. And once I stopped thinking about like I have to do this because I need to look a certain way, my life was like so much better after that. So
Yeah.
I think like
That's
I
awesome.
get to work out, I get to move my body. Not everybody has that privilege. So like move your body, even if it's a walk. Walks are great. So
Yes.
I need to start that again. All
Yes.
right, move on. Pregnant people shouldn't eat spicy food. If this is the case, I'm in trouble because I like loaded my burrito with some spicy hot sauce a minute ago. The myth is spicy food causes labor or harm to the baby. Truth, spicy foods are safe if tolerated well, though it might cause heartburn. What would like all the Spanish, you know, like and Thai food and like
Yeah.
all those super spicy foods, what would they
Like
eat?
in countries where they have no options, right? Like that's
Yeah,
what you eat. Well, it's
right.
interesting because like we in Japan, I mean their standards for fish is higher than ours, but they eat sushi all through pregnancy, and it's encouraged because of how many health benefits you can get from sushi. So I find that really interesting. I mean, again, that's a health grade thing. But even my doctor was like, eat the fish, eat the fish. How many people do you know that have gotten sick from sushi places? And I was like, I don't know anybody who ever has. And they're like, exactly, do
Yeah,
it, you know.
unless
But
it's gas station sushi, stay away
yeah,
from
probably
that.
don't do that. Probably don't do gas station or like grocery store sushi where it's been sitting out
Yeah,
for days, you know, like kind of
yeah,
stuff like that. But yeah, that's interesting with spicy. I have heard in the end it can send you into labor, but you know, maybe that's a tactic for people to go into labor, but I haven't heard of it as like a preterm labor issue. But I
yeah.
suppose anybody could have their theories on anything, really.
Hmm.
Because it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to know like who first said that. Like, is it like they had one person that got, you know, went into labor because of the spicy, or is it like they saw a correlation of like 20 of their patients, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. Like somebody just ate a habanero pepper and it was
Yeah,
just too much and it just it sent them into labor. I
right.
don't know. Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yep.
But I have heard that it did not work for me, did not put me into labor when I did
It
try that. I
didn't.
tried all the myths,
Oh,
didn't work. To like, I think what we talked about was like myths to put you into labor a
yeah.
while back, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
none of them worked for me. So,
No.
okay, number 5, you're eating for two, so I have like something to back this up, but myths, you need to double your food intake. Truth, most pregnant people only need about 300 to 500 extra calories per day in the second to third trimester. So I actually took my nutrition class, my master's class. I learned about this before I was pregnant. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You don't actually need to increase your calories that first trimester, and then slightly increase second trimester, and then that last trimester about like 300 to 500, but still it's not that much. And also when you have a big baby in your belly, it's hard to eat that much. So they say like 6 small meals a day to keep kind of your energy up. But yeah, that's a myth. People are like, oh, I'm eating for two, so it's kind of an excuse to like eat more, which I feel like I'm
I
there right now.
I definitely used that as an excuse
Makes
in my
me feel
second pregnancy. Yeah, that was a big one for me. I was like, so like this is the last time I'm gonna be pregnant. I'm eating whatever I want. I can look however I'm
yeah.
supposed to look. And like you said, growing up with body image issues, like when you're pregnant and you're supposed to be big, it was just like the most freeing feeling to me to be able to
Mhm.
eat whatever. And nobody's gonna say anything to me, you know, for eating whatever I want to eat. So you back off. You back off of me.
Right.
But I will
Oh
say,
yeah.
like, and we I'll put a big, big, big asterisk on this because I've gotten to the point where I don't know what sources to trust anymore. But I just read recently that, goodness, and I'm going to probably get this wrong. I should probably look this up before I say it, but that gestational diabetes is correlated to an increased risk of ADHD in kids. Or diabetes in general, not necessarily just gestational. But I will say, like, gestational diabetes was a big fear of mine, just because I had cousins and friends who had gone through it, and the constant pricking and the constant watching what you had to eat and all that kind of stuff. And like I would go a little crazy on like what I would eat sometimes, and then I'd be like, all right, I need to rein it in because I really don't want to get into those kind of issues. And that was a scary thing for me.
Yeah. I'm kind of worried about myself too because it's like I've been eating so much sweet. It's so bad.
I did the same though, and I was fine. I was close. I failed the first round of the first diabetes test, and then I had to take that 4-hour test this
Mhm.
for Hannah, and it was brutal. And then for Aubrey, I passed by 1 point, so I didn't have to take the second test, the 4-hour
Oh,
test. So
yeah.
I mean, I was like living on the edge for sure, but I didn't get there luckily.
Yeah.
When is your test?
What week are you supposed to do that?
I don't know. Is it 28 to 32, something like that?
Okay. Well, I'm 22 or 23
Okay,
weeks,
so you have a
so
little
I'm
bit to
getting there.
go. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe I should just rein it back now. No more ice cream at night.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So, number 6, I've never heard this one before, but a full moon can trigger labor.
That's a
Have you
big
heard that
one
one?
here. That's a big thought here.
Wow.
Lots of
Oh, I could see that in
moon.
Sedona.
Yes, moon
Yeah.
astrological people up here. So like Michelle, that was a
Yeah.
big thing for Michelle, that her friends were all speculating when she was going to go into labor because of the moons.
Hmm.
Yeah. I what does it say why? Does it like
So
specify
the
why?
myth, more babies are born during the full moon. Truth, studies have shown no real link, just coincidence and confirmation bias.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think there's something to do with like I don't know.
the
Like,
gravitational pull is
yes,
pull.
there you go. Pulls them right out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yes, I have
mean,
heard that one.
I I would believe, I mean, I know the full moon when kids are acting crazy at school, we're like, is it a full moon? And it usually is.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you what the moon was like for either of my kids, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Was there
You
one?
probably can look at
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I didn't go into labor with Aubrey. I only
Well,
went into labor with Hannah. So
yeah, and I was induced too, so like it wouldn't count for us. Maybe these people are picking. When's the full moon? Yeah, that's when I want to be induced. I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Yes.
Okay, you can't dye your hair while pregnant, which
Oh, I have
I
seen
dyed
that one.
mine last week, so it's a lot more blonde. Hair dye chemicals will harm the baby. The truth is, most research says it's safe, especially after the first trimester. Just be in a well ventilated area. So,
Mm.
I mean, I'm sure there's, I don't know. I'm not a doctor or know the science behind that. I didn't dye my hair the first when I was pregnant with Weston, but I did this last time.
Yeah. It was,
So,
like we said, I had two different doctors for my kids. Like Hannah's doctor had a whole packet of things for me of do and do not. And this is what you should expect it this week. This is what you expected that week. Like it was very descriptive. And then my second doctor was like, live your life, go do your thing. If you dye your hair, dye your hair. You drink coffee. Don't drink coffee like crazy, but drink coffee. You want caffeine, have a little bit of caffeine. That's okay. She was very like, you're not dying.
yeah,
You're not like, this isn't a death sentence. Like live your life.
right.
And I was like, thanks.
Cool.
I appreciate that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So that was the most common. And then Chat GPT recommended like ask what does grandma say? So I can go over these really quick. There's only 6, but one was like if you crave sweets, it's a girl, and if you crave salty foods, it's a boy.
I've definitely heard that one. How about you?
Yeah, I've heard that one. It says cravings reveal the baby's gender. It says cravings are more related to hormones and nutritional needs, not like the sex of the baby. Was more salty with Weston, but I craving sweets with this one, and he's a boy, so I don't think that's valid.
I agree.
An old wives' tale. 2, don't raise your arms above your head. It'll wrap the umbilical cord around the baby's neck. So this is the one that I was talking about earlier. Grandma says folding laundry could be dangerous. Reality, there's no evidence that for this. It says the cords are common and usually cause no cause by movement. The, I don't know this word. Neutral cords. I guess around wrapping
Hmm.
around. It's common. So
Yeah,
it can be. I don't know if it's
I love
common.
that though. I think it's
Yeah.
like a great excuse to get your husband to fold laundry.
Right. Sorry, I can't
Laundry's
fold the laundry.
dangerous. I can't do it.
Right. If you're glowing, it must be a boy. Uh, you've lost your beauty. It's a girl stealing it. I've
I've
never
heard that
heard
one.
that.
Yeah, I heard that one. I heard that one when I was like fresh out of college. Somebody was like, there was like a pregnant person at my work, and she's like, "Oh, you must be having to that person. You must be having a girl. Your face is breaking out." And I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, how offensive can you be? That's so
Stealing all
bad."
your beauty, man. Yeah, grandma says your looks change depending on the baby's sex. Reality, hormones affect your skin and hair, but no, not based on the baby's sex. Sleeping, these are crazy. 4, sleeping with a knife under your pillow to protect the baby. Grandma says, okay, so these are like old, I guess, what grandma says. Old folk remedy of protection. Reality, symbolic or cultural, but not medically necessary, and a little dangerous depending on the knife.
I mean, I guess if you live like in a dangerous area, it's probably a good idea. But like, what?
Oh, that's wild. Okay, 5, don't tell anyone you're pregnant until after the first trimester. It'll ward off bad luck.
Yeah.
I have heard this. I feel like in other countries, people might like are superstitious about that. It says grandma says keep it hush hush at first. Reality, many people follow this for personal or emotional reasons, but not for bad luck thing, just a personal choice. And we've talked about this before, like talking about waiting or not waiting. And for me, it was more about having a support system versus like just trying to keep it a secret from everybody. Like,
I definitely, yeah, I agree. Like I think with Hannah, I tried to wait because I was so afraid of miscarriage. But like timing, when you don't live by your family, you tell them when you're around them rather than having to call
Mhm.
them. So I didn't. And then Aubrey's, man, we didn't tell anybody until probably like 4.5, 5 months because of timing, but also like I was struggling with like I didn't want Hannah to get attention taken away from her. So I was kind of like, oh, but I showed a lot earlier
Yeah.
with Aubrey, so it was kind of hard to keep it quiet. But I
Yeah.
understand that sentiment more so like a lot more can happen in the first trimester, you
Right.
know. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I didn't tell it like the whole world and still haven't. But the other day I posted a picture and someone messaged me. She was like, "Is it me or like why is Ryan holding your belly?" And I'm like, "I'm pregnant. Didn't I tell you?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "I'm
Ah!
sorry. My bad." I thought I did. She's like, "You said you were trying, but I didn't know that you were pregnant." I'm like, "I didn't
Oh,
announce it." I was like, "My life has been crazy right now, and I'm trying to back away from like Facebook and Instagram and posting so much. So it's just like
yeah.
I feel bad. I feel like I did all the things for Weston, like a whole reveal and like a post. They're not gonna remember. I probably will delete it before then. I don't know, before they realize that. I did way more. I had my bump pictures. I should have done it this round, but I haven't, and it's just been a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. All right, number 6 says rub your belly too much and the baby will be spoiled. Grandma says keep your hand off or you'll have a needy baby. Sorry. And it says reality, there's no link. Rub away if you feel like it. I've never heard that one.
I
I just
haven't
think
heard
some
that one
grandma was
either.
annoyed that a baby that their daughter kept touching their belly or something. Or
Yeah.
oh no, I touch my belly all the time when he's moving, and then sometimes when he's not, I'm like,
Hey,
Brian's like,
move.
stop, you're gonna stress him
Popo.
out. I'm like, hello, you there?
Yeah. Wake up. I need to
Yeah.
hear you. Move you.
So that
Yeah.
was what grandma says. And it says grandmas tend to blend culture, tradition, and superstition. And then it says, what kind of grandma are we talking? Southern, Caribbean, Desi? I don't know. So I guess you could be more specific and then ChatGPT would tell
Yeah.
you. I bet a Southern one would be funny because I feel like a lot of these sound like a Southern granny making some stuff up. I remember my granny would tell me, if I sweep under your feet, you're never going to get married. You've
What
never
does
heard
that
that one
mean?
before? I don't
No.
know. Like, I guess she was sweeping. I lifted up my feet and she wouldn't sweep under my feet because she said I would never get married if she swept under my feet. I feel like I need to look it up now.
Yeah. That's interesting. You know what? I think it's so interesting. A lot of the myths too, like how, like I think well, no, I know this is not an I think system. I follow Emily Oster, and she is so data based, and I really enjoy like following her and feeling, seeing all the things that she tries to back up, and a lot of the things I think is that now we have the data behind stuff like the spicy foods and all that kind of stuff, whereas like back in the day they were kind of speculating on those things, right? And
Mhm.
now the research has been so much better
Yeah,
that
for sure.
they can dispel a lot of the myths for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is wild. Okay, so I looked this up, and this is a little off topic, but it says sweeping. I wrote sweeping under someone's feet. You won't get married. That was my brain working. It says yes. This is a classic. If someone sweeps under your feet, you'll never get married. It's a common superstition in a lot of cultures, especially in the South, where I'm from, the Caribbean, and parts of Africa and Latin American. Some versions even say it's bad luck in general or that it'll ruin your love life. So, what a grandma might do if someone accidentally sweeps under your feet, she'll tell you to sit on the broom and step over it backwards to break the curse. No kidding. Of course, there's no truth to it, just one of those old sayings passed down forever. But hey, better safe than sorry, right? Or it says, you ever get swept and you have someone yell at the broom. I don't know. That's weird. Don't let anybody sweep under your feet. Single listeners out there. You'll never get married, according to ChatGPT, whatever.
Oh my
AI.
goodness.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
That's one I'd remember. I'm superstitious. My dad broke a mirror to fit it in the trash can. I'm like, that's 7 years of bad luck. He's like, I don't believe in that hocus pocus. I don't know why. I'm superstitious for no reason.
I like to be I used to be really superstitious of sport, especially when I was playing sports. Like that was a big thing of mine. But yeah, I kind of lost a lot of that. Like I even I would be like, oh, if I wear this shirt, then my team is gonna lose. Do you think that my shirt is really going to affect my professional sports team? No, absolutely not. But
or there's
it's
people who don't wash their jerseys because they think
yeah,
the Major League Football team or whatever is gonna win because they don't wash their jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they lost because their wife washed their jersey. That's a little far stretched.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all your fault.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. I really like looking
fun.
up those things, and the myths are funny. I seriously couldn't believe my mom said that. She's like, I'm serious. I'm like, I'm gonna fact check you, and I'm gonna send you some links. Yeah. Oh, and caffeine's another one. Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about that. Sorry. But my pregnancy brain.
Yeah, a little bit. I've never been a caffeine person in general, so it was never a thing for me. But I know that, I have friends who are big coffee drinkers, and they were like, yeah, 1 cup a day is fine. And, for my big coffee drinker friends, that was a little rough, but at least they could have some,
Right.
So,
yeah. Add it back a little.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, and send in your wildest myths that you've heard for pregnancy. If it's different than the ones that we've mentioned, or yeah.
Love it. Okay.
Love it.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. And that wraps up another episode of Mom Jeans, trying to fit into motherhood. Thank you again so much for listening to us. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider giving us 5 stars so other mothers out there like you can find us and listen. If you would like, you could follow us on any of our socials at Mom Jeans the podcast. If you have questions, would like to send us your birth story, or give us suggestions or things that you would like to hear, please email us at hello@momjeansthepodcast.com. See you next week.